What does the term SOS stand for? Where did it come from? When are we allowed to use it? We're going to talk about this distress signal and its interesting background today. Good evening. You're watching Tito Talks English Mondays with your Tito Miguel. Let me first start off by apologizing for not being able to upload last Friday. We had undergone a blackout due to Typhoon Ulysses, which ravaged the Marikina area over the weekend, or before the weekend started. Our blackout in this area began at around Thursday evening and persisted until the early morning on Saturday, which is why the whole Friday went by wherein I was not able to record, shoot, or do any research on any topics in preparation for Friday. I do apologize about that. On the other hand, I am very thankful that our residents wasn't that heavily afflicted by the recent flooding caused by the storm. With that being said, we still have other Mariqueños, and not just those within Metro Manila, but those most specifically up north in the Cagayan area, to be specific in the cities of Tuguegarao and Santiago, who are experiencing even worse than what other people have right now. And it is for this reason that I would like to dedicate the description area of this particular video to advertise, or not to advertise though, or to broadcast certain links which connect to various donation drives, relief efforts, volunteer services to which you can send your donations, relief goods, or volunteer for repacking efforts to help these people in the afflicted areas. But do take note, none of the donation drives, none of the relief efforts, none of them listed in the description area are hosted or organized by me, which means none of the money, none of the goods will go near me. If you choose to follow these links, I am merely serving as an echo chamber so that these services, these organizations, these relief drives, these donations can reach more people who are willing to help. So if you ever are in a position and you would like to extend a helping hand to our countrymen who are experiencing devastating loss from this event, please take a look at our description box. You will not find my playlists there anymore, as I'll be changing it for today, but instead you will be finding various links to various organizations, to various drives to help out with these said efforts. And with that said, let's go to our lesson for today, which I think is closely connected to what happened because of Typhoon Ulysses. One of the first things that started hitting social media were pictures and calls to action, or calls for help, by people who were stranded on their rooftops, or who were forced to leave their houses and seek higher ground because of the rising floodwaters. When the flooding got worse, people were stuck, marooned on the roofs of their houses, waiting for help, draining out their batteries, sending pictures, calling out to anyone who could share and connect their messages to rescue efforts, who could then locate and get them out of there and bring them to safety. One of the things you'd notice from these messages was that they're very long. They talked about how many people were stranded, what types of people were stranded. Were there pregnant women? Were there senior citizens? How many children were there? What were the addresses? What were the specifics involved? And it is for these reasons that the term distress signals were created. And one of the most popular types of distress signals is the three-letter acronym, or so we thought, acronym known as SOS. Now, SOS has long been established as one of the most well-recognized international forms of distress signals. And when we say the term distress signals, this means wherever you are, whoever receives your message, if it is encoded as SOS, they will know that you are in danger. They will know that something is wrong and that you require assistance, which means it's one of the most efficient ways to call for help. It only consists of 3 letters, and it doesn't need much to be sent. No need to type long messages, no need to construct long sentences, just 3 letters and you're good to go. But what does SOS really stand for? SOS stands for, and you'd be very surprised to know, it doesn't really stand for anything. Yes, that's right. SOS is not exactly an acronym, and it does not exactly represent any particular phrase. Some people might say that SOS stands for Save Our Souls. Some would also say it means save our ship, for those of you in the maritime business. While these may be true and while these may be logical in the truest sense of the word, they are not exactly the truth. This is because SOS started out as a protocol created during the time that we did not have phones, telephones, radios. What we only had at that time, to be specific in the 1850s, was a communication system known as Morse Code, created by F.B. Morse in that same time period within the 1850s, which merely consists of one button, sending and transmitting those button presses to another recipient in another area using electromagnetic signals sent via the tapping of the button over the network. So since you only had one button, you would have to use a series of dots and lines, which consisted of tapping the button or holding down the button to create lines to type in your message. A certain pattern or certain combinations of dots and lines would represent various letters from the alphabet, which is why SOS became quite a popular call for help during that time. It was the shortest way in order to broadcast for help. Now, while SOS had become the standard, it wasn't always the standard in the first place. In between the 1850s all the way going to the early 1900s, the various countries had different methods of signaling for help. They used different acronyms. They would use JDV, sometimes they would use SQA, whatever it is, depending on the country and depending on the language. Although these were effective within their own countries, people coordinating or communicating with people from other countries would have trouble distinguishing the calls for distress from other countries, since they would not understand what the acronyms meant. This is why, in 1906, an international convention was called within Germany to establish an internationally recognized Morse code alphabet, and not just that, to establish an internationally recognized distress call. So that meant every country in that delegation would have understood that this code would be a call for help. And the code that was chosen out of all the possible combinations was SOS. You'll be very surprised to know that in order to type SOS in Morse code is rather simple as well. 3 dots, 3 lines, 3 dots. And usually when people send help via Morse code, they would keep up this pattern until they receive a response. 3 dots, 3 lines, 3 dots. And the system or the pattern would persist over and over until someone would respond. Now, although the letters themselves do not have any significant meaning at all, as of today, they're considered an immediate call for help wherever you are. So the next time that you're stuck somewhere, the next time that you're in danger and you need help and you are limited in your resources, you're running out of battery charge, you're running out of text messages, you're running out of load, one of the best ways to get your message across is to send the 3 letters SOS, whether that be via text, whether that be via chat. It is an international distress signal, and I hope this does help you one day if ever you are in this position. But then, of course, I would hope that you would never have to use it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, I would like to point your attention to our description box. Please, if you are capable of helping, any amount would do. Any form of help would do. Even if you can't provide your money, your labor, and your prayers would be greatly appreciated. Once again, this is your Tito Miguel. I do hope you still enjoy the rest of your day, and I do hope you stay safe and you stay dry. Enjoy the rest of your day.